Welcome back. It's good to see you again. Today I want to show you how to use a mouse. Okay, and while I'm not trying to, my intention, I should say, is not to reinvent the wheel here because, I'm not trying to beat a dead horse, so to speak. But I think for someone, you know, who is learning to use a computer, this might becomes relevant. It might becomes useful. This may be a useful piece of instruction for them. So welcome again. Thank you for stopping by. And we are going to talk about how to use a mouse. All right. And but before we get into the nitty gritty of operating the mouse, let's kind of delve into what are the main reasons for using a mouse, right? Okay, so if you're a laptop user, probably you may just use the touchpad on your laptop, you know. But if for me, I'm a desktop user, so I need a mouse. All right. All right. So here we go. So the main purposes of a mouse, or the main purpose, I should say, is to interact with your computer. I think that's my definition. The main purpose of the mouse is to interact with the computer. Okay? Whether you're using a laptop or you're on a desktop machine, right? So that's the main purpose. And so in terms of interaction, you would use your mouse to kind of open and close programs, right? Different pieces of software that may be on your computer. You'll use your mouse to kind of open and close those. You'd use your mouse to move around files, to drag and drop, to move files from one drive to the next, that kind of stuff, to copy and paste, those kind of stuff, to scroll web pages, or to scroll through, a web page. You use your mouse to, in conjunction with the keyboard. Sometimes there are certain shortcuts that you need to execute, but you need to use the mouse along with the keyboard. All right, so the mouse is used in conjunction with the keyboard to execute certain commands, to execute certain action on your computer. What else would you use a mouse for? Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, just to scroll through web pages, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So before we even try to do any of that, let me kind of give you an idea of what a mouse looks like. And I'm sure for most of you who are watching this, you have already seen what a mouse looks like. But essentially, there are two different kinds of mouse, right? You have this here that I have here. This is a cordless mouse. This mouse communicate with my computer via a wireless signal, whether it's without getting into the nitty-gritty, it communicates with the computer using a wireless signal. All right, so this is a wireless mouse, all right, that I have on my desk here. I'm going to move this out of the way. And here, this is a corded mouse. Now, these are the more common kind of mouse. The difference with, I'm just going to put them together so you can see them, right? Yeah, so this is a corded one, and this is a cordless one, all right? The major difference between both, like I mentioned before, this one communicates wirelessly using a radio signal. So it also comes with a little receiver thing that is plugged into one of your USB port. and via that little USB receiver, that's where, you know, it would receive the signal from the mouse as you scroll or click or whatever. And that is how this wireless one is you know, it communicates with the computer. Now the corded one has to be plugged in, right? And this is what the end of the corded one looks like. It has a regular USB end, right? And you would plug this into one of the USB sockets on your laptop or on your desktop machine, all right? And you would communicate, you know, that way. Now the common features between, you know, mouses, or should I say mice? Well, that's plural, right? Mouse singular, mice plural. So in other words, I have two mice on my on my desk here. Now this one, you know, they both have scroll wheels, and you would use the scroll wheels to kind of you know, scroll back and forth through especially when you're on, you know, you're going through documents or web pages, you know. So they both have scroll wheels. Second thing they both have a right side, you know, a right side and a left side that you can click on, right? It's not very obvious to the person who is new to this. It's not very obvious, but you would click, depending on what you're doing, depending on what you're trying to execute. You would either press on this side, right, or you would press on this side. And it's the same thing with the corded one. Depending on what you're doing, you would click on the right side or on the left side of the mouse. Okay. Back in the day, they all had, you know, I remember when you would have the need to put your mouse on something dark, so that, you know, the scrolling or the tracking would be more accurate. I don't see much of a need for that anymore. I find mice are very accurate these days in terms of moving around the cursor on the screen. So yeah, that is not a big concern these days. All right, so what else is, I'm just trying to recall what else is common. Yeah, essentially these are the common aspects of both mice that is sitting here on my desk. So this is the mouse I will be focusing. I'll be using today to kind of demonstrate to you, you know, what you can do with a mouse, or some of the commands that you can execute with a mouse. And I'm gonna. This is the cordless one. All right. So let's get going. So like I said before, depending on what you're trying to execute, you know, you would either click on the right side or on the left side. Now, if you're opening a program, I'm going to try to open a piece of software here on my desktop, on my desktop. Generally speaking, if you're opening programs, if you're dragging and okay, you know, let me demonstrate while I'm speaking. So one of the things you can do with your mouse is to use it to open or close a program. So I'm going to open a piece of editing software that I have on my screen here. Okay, this is the program called DaVinci Resolve, and it's a powerful editing software. And you know, yeah. So there it is. So with the mouse, right? If you're opening a program, essentially what you would do, you would double click on the left side. You would double click on this side of the mouse. Okay? Right? Not on the right side. You would double click on the left side. So I double clicked, and this is the program. You know, I'm into the software right now. Double click again, to kind of open up the program, and of course that's what it looks like. Now if I need to close the program, obviously I would find where the close command is. It's usually an X, and I would move the cursor over to the X, and you would left click again to close the program. So one thing you will quickly realize when you start using a mouse, very frequently, is that most of the commands that you need to do, you would do it on the left side of on the left side of the mouse. It would be a left click, right? Not the right click, a left click. Okay. All right. So that's one thing you can use your mouse for, to open and close programs. Let me see if there's another program here on. I'm going to use it to open Word. This is Microsoft Word. So again, I would find the icon or the shortcut that I need to click on or to open, and I would double click on it and open it. I'm going to do it again. So you would move the cursor to the icon or the shortcut or for the program that you need to open, and you would double click. Okay, I'm going to do one click. Well, in some cases one click will open a program. In other cases you need to double click. In this case, a single click on the left side of the mouse was enough to launch Microsoft Word. Okay. What again? Let me see what else I can open here. Okay, I'm gonna find my browser. Let's say you want to open your browser, right? Where is my browser? I use Chrome. All right. Let me see if I single click, one single click, and it opens, right? So there you go again. So most of the commands that you would need to do, to interact with your computer, would be done using the left side of the mouse. All right. And to close this window, again, I would find the X or whatever it is. I think in Windows usually the X is at the of a program, or to close a program is on the top right hand corner. I think on the Mac, if my memory serves me correct, if this is not correct, and if you use a Mac, let me know. But I think the X or the point where you use to close your program is on the left side of the window. All right, so to click again, left click over here and close it. Right? So that's one of the more common execution that you would use your mouse to to open and close programs, right, or software that are on your computer. Another thing you may need to do with your mouse is to drag stuff around and place them in folders. All right, and I'm still using just the left side of the mouse here. We're going to focus on just the left click, of the left click or the left side of the mouse, where this finger is kind of sits on. Now, if you are a left-handed person, then of course, your fingers would be placed in a different spot. All right. So, like I said, another thing you can do with your mouse is to drag icons around. Move stuff around, right? For example, if I want to move this shortcut from here to another part of the screen, I can just I would just click on it, So what you would do, you would click on it, click one click, keep your finger on the mouse and hold it and drag it, right? I want to move this shortcut again. You click on it, just one click, because what happened if you double click, it's going to open. We don't want to open the program. We just want to move it, right? So we know we're just using the mouse to move it. So you one click and you hold it down and you move it, right? I want to move this shortcut here to another editing software. I want to place it somewhere else on the screen. One click and hold it down and move it. Same thing with this folder of pictures. One click and you can move it. All right, so that's something else that you can do with your mouse, you know, to move stuff around, to drag stuff around the screen, to place things in different areas. All right, now so let's say I'm going to double click on this folder to open it. In this folder, I think I have two photos of me. So what I did, I double click there to open that folder. Now this folder has two photos of me, and I have another folder with some more photos. It's down here. It's called headshots, and I want to open this folder. And the way you would do, you would double click on the folder again, which contains these pictures, and there it is. I have some more pictures. So currently I have two folders open, right? The previous one, which is called July 2026, and this one is called headshot. So I have this folder open and this folder open, and basically they're just overlaid. One is overlaid on top of the other. Now another thing you can do with your mouse is to drag and drop files, right? You can drag files from one folder to the next, right? And I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, if I want to drag a file from this folder here, this folder to this folder, same thing again. You one click on it and you hold it down and you drag it into the folder. So there it is. If I want to drag this one, if I want to move this file, same thing again. I would hold it down, click on it, one click, not a double click, and hold it down and drag it into the folder. So there it is, right? Now there's a difference. There's a huge difference between, or should I say, this process is called drag and drop. At least that's the terminology I grew up. You know, that's how I know. That's how I know it. That's the terminology that I've used over the years. So you click, you hold it, and you drag it, and you drop it into your destination folder. All right. But there's a difference between drag and drop and copy and paste. I know you have heard the term copy and paste before. It's a term that is used more so when people are working on documents, you know. But you can copy and paste a lot of stuff, photos, videos, other files, a lot of stuff. And the major difference is that when you drag and drop something, like in this case, I'm going to drag this photo and drop it in this folder. It physically moves the photo from that location to the new destination folder, right? It moves it. It moves the file from that folder to the destination folder. Now, if I copy and paste, so there's this folder here. I'm going to copy and paste it right? So I'm gonna, in this case now, the way to do that, you're gonna right click. You're gonna right click, so you're gonna click on the right side of the mouse. Okay? Let me just zoom in onto my mouse here so you can see what I'm doing much better. You're gonna right click, you're gonna click on the right side of the mouse. Okay? So you hover your cursor over the file or whatever you want to copy and paste. You right click, go back again. You're gonna right click. Okay, let's try that again. You're gonna right click, and when you right click, you get all these commands, all these options, right? Now to copy this file, basically what you're gonna do, you're gonna scroll down until you reach copy, and you're not gonna right click this time. You're gonna left click, right? You're gonna left click. I'm trying to keep my mouse in this one spot so you're able to see my hand. Yes, so you're gonna left click on copy, right? Okay, so I copied, I hit copy. Now I'm going to go back to this folder and go to this folder, and I'm going to put my cursor in an open spot in the folder, and I'm going to right click again on the right side of the mouse. Okay, the right side of the mouse. Okay, I'm going to click here. You know what, I'm just going to use one finger because I realize when I have both fingers on the mouse you may not be able to see. So I'm gonna right click, and when you right click you get quite a few other commands again, and if you look down you will see the word paste, and then you're gonna left click. Now you're gonna left click, not the right side of the mouse. You're gonna left click on paste, and there we go, and there's the photo in this folder, right? So but like I was saying before, getting a little bit tongue-tied, when you copy and paste like I did in this instance, it does not move the file. I still have a copy of the file in my original folder, and now I have a copy of the same file, of the same photo in this folder. So copy and paste only makes a copy of the file and place it somewhere else, place it in a new destination, right? Drag and drop in many cases allow you to physically move that file from one location to another. It depends. If I should clarify that somewhat, because if I have an external drive that is connected to my machine and I do a drag and drop, it will copy the file to the external drive, but it will still leave the original file in the destination. So there's a little bit of difference if you're working on separate drives, but if you're working on the same drive, drag and drop will usually move the file from one location on the drive to another location. All right, and if I'm muddying the waters here, let me know. All right, that's another thing you can do with your mouse. Apart from opening and closing programs, you will also use your mouse to move files around, to copy and paste, to drag and drop. What else can we use our mouse to do? I'm going to just close these off. You can use your mouse also to kind of highlight documents. Let me see if I have any documents on this computer that I can open. Yeah. think I have something here. Right, so I have this old document here. And again, what if I want to, this document, this part, document here, I want to copy a portion of it, or delete a portion of it. You can basically put your cursor wherever you want, drag it across and highlight that portion of the document. And you can either delete it, or you can, copy that portion of the document again and paste it somewhere else. You understand? So that is something else that you can do with your with your mouse. Yeah. All right. Using it to highlight text and move around text, delete text. This there is so many uses for the mouse. It's a lot. It's a lot. Okay, now I hear something going on upstairs. That sounds like somebody's using a blender. All right, what else can I do with your mouse? You can scroll with your mouse. So this is the scroll wheel on the mouse, right? If you roll it forward and backward, then you will move your document up or down, right? So this is so there you go. Just by pushing this scroll wheel, you can move your documents up and down. All right. This also goes for web pages. Let me just open up a web page here. Where can we go to? Is this open? All right, so I just open a web page here, and you can scroll through. You can scroll through web page here. I hope there are nothing in here that is copy protected. All right, so I'm gonna just close this back. So yeah, just you can use your mouse to kind of scroll through documents, web pages, and that kind of stuff. Yeah, so this is not even really scratching the surface, or should I say it's barely scratching the surface of a lot of the stuff that you can do with your mouse. But for this little tutorial here, I just want to show you some of the basic things that you would do with your mouse, right? But so let's just reiterate again what we kind of went through, or well, not everything, but how what you can do using the right side or the left side of the mouse. Now, if I put my cursor in the middle of the screen here and I right click on it, it gives me some options, right? You'll get some options. But generally speaking, if you use this side of the mouse to try to open a program, this side of the mouse, the right side, generally it would not open, all right? Right? Like see, I'm double clicking, and it's not opening, right? Not opening. I'm trying to use the right side to open a program or a piece of software, because that is reserved for this side of the mouse. Okay, so if you're clicking on something, you're trying to open a program, and you are clicking on the right side of the mouse, most likely the program will not open. When you click on the right side of the mouse, usually you get some commands and that you can proceed to by using the left side of the mouse, right? So again, if I click on this, if I right click and try to open this folder here, it will not open, right? But it does give me some options. So I'm going to right click on this folder, and then I have the option of opening the folder by moving over here. But this time I have to left click, right? I have to left click in order to open it. So I would put my cursor over the word open, and boom, it's open, right? So, this is the tip. If you're not familiar with, using a mouse, you're new to computers, and you're using the right side of the mouse to open programs, most likely you're going to be frustrated, right? Because that is reserved for this side of the mouse. Okay? Yeah. Usually when usually when you right click on a program, all it does, it gives you a drop down menu of stuff that you can proceed to, and those commands you have to kind of execute using the left side of the mouse. You have to left click, right? So for example, I'm gonna open this folder again by left clicking. All right, I'm gonna open this folder again by left clicking. All right, now say I want to delete one of these folders, right? If I right click, if I right click on it, it will give me, these options. And what I can do, or should I say, one of the options in this drop down menu here is to delete, rename. You can do a lot of stuff here, but say I want to delete it, I can just click on the delete button and it's gone. I just did that. All right. I'm going to close this window again. So essentially, the right side of the mouse is reserved for commands that you want to execute with the left side of the mouse. So if you're making the mistake of right clicking all the time, to open programs, that kind of stuff, you may be a little bit frustrated. Okay, I'm not sure what it's like on the Mac, but on the PC, this is how it works. And like I said, technology is ever evolving. So there might be a case now, there might be a situation now where you can program the mouse to, to work the way you want to have it work. I don't know, I'm just speculating, but if that's the case, let me know in the comments below. All right. So, but for most of what you would want to do on your computer, most of the stuff that you'll want to execute are done using the left side of the mouse. Okay. Opening programs, closing programs, dragging files, dropping files, that kind of stuff, highlighting documents, that kind of stuff. Yeah, you would use, most of those commands are executed using the left side of the mouse. Okay? And, we also have the scroll wheel that we can use to kind of scroll through documents, scroll through web pages and all of that, which kind of help us to speed up our whatever we are trying to execute. So there it is. For today, these are the main the main items, or the main idea that I want to bring to you in terms of how to use the mouse. When would you right click on something? When would you left click on something? And when would you scroll on something? Right? When would you right click on a folder? You would right click on it to get to get other commands that you can execute, and you would left click on it to open it, or to drag it somewhere, to move it around somewhere else, to drag and drop, that kind of stuff. But generally speaking, this side of the mouse is the more commonly used side of the mouse. All right. So there's maybe a bit more that we could go through, but I'm going to leave it there for today, because I do not want to kind of overwhelm you, so to speak. I just want to basically give you a short, this is not even short, but a basic idea of how you go about using a mouse. Okay. One thing I forgot to mention about a cordless mouse also is that they do have batteries. They do have a battery in them. Okay, they do have a battery inside, and from time to time you have to replace this battery because you know, with the corded one, it gets its power from the computer, but because this is cordless, as in anything which is cordless, it needs power, so you have to replace the battery from time to time. All right, it also have a switch on the bottom here, to turn it on and off. All right, because you know, you don't want to leave it on, because even though it's a slow power draw, but I guess if you leave it on for a very long time, it will eventually kill the battery, right? So when you're done using it, you just turn it off, and when you're ready to use it again, you just turn it back on. All right, so there we go. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you for stopping by. If I fail to touch on something that is critical or essential when it comes to using a mouse, let me know. But I hope I have covered all the basic stuff that that is required, or that is, you know, essential when it comes to using you know, the basic stuff that you would use a mouse for. I hope I was able to cover those. All right, so thank you for watching. This channel is for everyone. It's kind of geared towards the older demographic, people in my age group and older. I'm over 60, right? But I realize that there's a demographic, you know, we're a demographic of people who were not exposed to technology, and we have to be calling our grandkids or our, you know, our kids to help us from time to time to kind of execute stuff. But not only that, there are people who are really timid and shy when it comes to using technology. They get the feeling that they're going to break something, and you know, in many cases you're not going to break anything. So this channel is really geared towards the timid and the shy kind of person when it comes to tech. And for the people who were not exposed to technology and is finding it difficult to kind of adapt, because everything is digital these days, everything is online, everything is requires you to have a little bit of computer knowledge in some way. It's not, I wouldn't say it's mandatory, but it's necessary, right? I'm going to just leave it at that. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. And if you found this helpful, give me a thumbs up. And if you like where I'm going with this channel, trying to help the old people like me and the young ones who are learning, you know, or anyone who is learning, don't forget to follow, right? Don't forget to give me a follow. And let's continue to share these videos. All right, so have a great day, and until the next video, you take care of yourself now. All right, bye bye.